All right, so the battery is potent. It wasn't even weak from the moment I put it in. There, you got it on. See if I can hold the clutch, hit the starter button. So there you have it. Now it's pretty warm. I did cheat and go for a ride, but the bike actually sounds rough. So this thing has some sort of something done with the cams. I don't know what was done. The owner before me bought it off a guy who had done it up back in 99, 2000. So it's been jetted. It's got a K&N under the tank and another K&N under the seat, air filter, and then you've got the straight pipe. So it was all set up to work together. So it has a bit of a popping when she idles a little bit, but that's about as good as you can get her to go. But I mean, I put 20,000 on it. It's reliable. The plugs seem to burn at the right color. But as for the Amazon battery, again, let's have a look at that. That's your box. AJC Jungle Store. I think it was like 80 bucks. Maybe 88 bucks, something like that. And that's in Canada, so that's probably like 50, 60 bucks down in the States. Doesn't say much on it. But what we had in the bike originally was a 14BS X-Side. I mean, I got like, pretty much, 8 or 10 years out of that, which is pretty good. How long will this last? I don't know. But again, it's an AGM. It's the right size, fit right in, no headaches, no nothing. It looked exactly like the same battery as that X-Side with a different sticker on it. So, I mean, that's always good. But, so do you have to go to the retail place or the motorcycle place or the automotive place and order one for, $150 to $250? I don't think so. How long will it last? We'll have to do an update maybe later in the summer to see how it goes. But generally speaking, as long as they're made correctly, the AGM batteries are usually pretty good, and as long as you don't let them go stone dead and sit forever, they seem to be fine. My bike doesn't drain, so as long as it's sitting. I come out in the winter and I'll throw one of these little chargers on here. It's just a itty bitty one, but it'll go into maintain. I actually got a smaller one now that just maintains, so we'll probably come up under the seat and run a little plug-in so we can plug a maintainer into it. But yeah, like I say, I got cars and different things kicking around, so I usually have the little charger or a maintainer charger, and I'll go around, put it on one, week later put it on the other, just keep kind of rolling them around. And we get a plus 10 day in the middle of January. I'll actually start stuff up and run it. This bike will run. You got to watch that with some bikes. They just won't kick in, unless it's warm outside. We had a Vulcan 500, my wife's bike, and her bike was like that. If it was even, down to say 0 to +4 in Celsius, like that bike would not start. You had to get a good +7, 8, 9, 10, and the bike had to be sitting out in the sun a little bit, and she'd fire right up. But she did not like the cold. So some bikes do and some bikes don't. This one will probably fire up. If you can roll it over enough and fuel goes in, there's enough compression. It's going to go no matter what. But anyway, mini review on the Intruder 1400s, which I believe changed names at some point to the Boulevard S83. Of course, all that stuff is gone now. It's a 1400cc engine, plenty big for a 540-pound bike. So they're snotty to begin with, but when you open them up, you make them breathe good and a little bit of exhaust work. I mean, and you don't have to do straight pipes. You could do some Cobras. I got a set of Cobra slash pipes. Now this one here will go underneath and they'll both run on the other side, kind of Harley style, I guess. But you can run those, and that'll free up a little bit of air. The thing about that, when you start playing with it, you really want to take it into a guy who knows what he's doing, get your bike jetted for whatever exhaust you're going to run. Like, you don't always have to, but it makes a difference, I find. So this one's been jetted. Now, as far as tune up over the years go, every couple of years I've thrown some plugs in it. Took the carburetors apart once just to clean them out and put them back together. Didn't even put a kit in them or nothing. Diaphragm carbs in this, and they sit up underneath. And yeah, the thing works great. Now, one thing I did do, we got rid of the air box that was sitting inside there because they had the pod filter and the box was kind of half shaky in there. So we took that right out. And what I did do is I put a fuel filter in that space once I opened up the space, and it's a pretty big one. Probably never have to change that for years, so it's a little bigger than it needs to be. But my thought was I didn't want to put a little motorcycle one on and resist the flow. The one I got on there would be good enough for a pickup truck. So, and just an inline metal one. I didn't bother with the see-through or anything because once the pans are on, you can't see anyway. Now, the only reason I did that, and if you buy one of these bikes and you got to keep cleaning the little black specks out of the carb, what happens with these is they have a set of gas lines. They come from the back of the tank and shoot forward and bend and go down and around. Now, I believe this frame was used for the 750s and 800s. So what happens with these bikes when they put the 1400 in, everything is so just barely fitting in there that where the lines go, if you use regular fuel line, they will pinch. There's just no room. So what I did is I made fuel lines that come up and around out of steel lines and shoot back, and then I ran regular gas lines down through a filter and then back up to the pepcock. So basically all the lines were changed with, the good stuff, the fuel injection rated, blah, 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 whatever that line stuff is, and the quality compression clamps. So the way I have it shooting forward further and then back, it allows a little more hose. So when you pull the tank, you can actually lift it up out of the way and you've got room to work on it. The fitted ones seem to disintegrate because I don't think they're rubber. They almost come apart like a rubbery foam. So some kind of cheapy synthetic rubber. So that's something I had to do on this bike, being that, 98, right? It's not a new bike by no means, but it runs good. Everything works well. A little bit of chrome is peeling off of the wheels, and it's been like that since I've owned it. I could replace the wheels. They are available. There's a couple panels here and there that could be replaced where it's bubbling a little bit, but there's no rust and it's not, coming off in droves. So I don't worry about it. This is just a toy and I ride around. It could be a show bike. I don't use it that way. So like I say, it's a daily rider. We do got the Corbin seat. I haven't looked at the price of those, but 9 years ago, they were like $1,800. And it's not a super soft travel Corbin seat. It's like a hard bucket. But the reason I've had this bike so long, back in the day, I'd buy a bike, play with it for a year or two. Usually the third year, I'd trade up, trade in, swap it. I like vintage bikes, so I had a Yamaha Radian for a while. Then I went to something else. Then I went to a Virago 1100. I had a 550 Honda for a little bit. I had a 85 Suzuki Madura, which is the GV 1200cc V4. And I gotta say, great bike. And I kept that along with this bike, and I had them both on the road at the same time. Problem with Canada is your insurance here is insane, and the bigger the bike, the more the insurance. So I'm down to one. And the reason I've kept this one right through the way I have, when I sit on it, I'm about 5'7", and I got a short end seam. Now, if I run the stock seats, I kind of hate where the pegs are, but you can see there's a Maypam set up at the front, which throws them forward. But this seat actually sits the rider back a few inches, and it just works out perfect for me. So my point is I can ride this basically all day long. I don't get tired. I don't feel hurt, right? And I'm talking riding through my 40s. I'm not talking, when a 20-year-old says that, I mean, they can ride all day probably on anything. I know I could. But when you get a little older, I know with the Yamaha Radian and the FJ bikes, an hour or two, and it's like I'm kind of whipped. If you're not going fast enough for that hard lean, you got to remember you're holding yourself up by your arms, right? So it takes energy. You got to be physically fit, but if you're going to ride for 7 hours, it's really something. So the sport touring bikes, generally you sit upright, they're a little better. But this particular bike, for my size of person that I am, whatever, this bike I can ride for 6-7 hours and I can get off and still walk. I'm not all stiff. My bum isn't completely numb. My arms aren't whipped. And after a ride, I can go in the house and do things. Where some of the other bikes, after a ride, you go in the house and pass out on the couch for a while, right? You're pretty much wasted for the day. So if you're going super far, uh, if you don't got a dresser bike, I guess you call them, or whatever, a highway bike, cruiser is generally the way to go. And that's weird for me to say that even to this day. I've been riding cruisers now for about 10 years, but I was always more of a cafe racer and sport bike guy. But I like the performance and all that. But the truth is, if you want to ride all day, all day, all day, you know, you're basically looking at something along the lines of a Ultra Glide or a Goldwing or something like that. But you can get away with a lot of cruisers if you pick one that, that's comfortable for you. Anyway, so as far as the battery goes, she works right out of the box. So far, no complaints. We'll see how she goes. We'll update you later. Thanks for watching.